Namaste, my beautiful co-creators. I'm Isolde Kalaman, your host today in Journey of Awe. Welcome to the show. We're an interactive show where we bring you the latest teachings, education, and programs to illuminate the collective consciousness. We have a very special topic to do and a guest. The topic today is Indigo Children and Drugs. I'm pretty sure you guys heard about indigos, where there are a special group of entities that they choose to be reincarnated at this time. They are masters and teachers. But when they come to the 3D, they lose sometimes the identity or the memory of who they are. They many times function in a higher frequency, and they have a hard time fitting into the society. Stefan, thank you very much for coming to the show, and please introduce yourself. And I heard that you're an Indigo Child as well.
Yes, thank you for having me on your show. I am definitely an Indigo Child. I've always been very empathetic and able to feel things on a very sensitive level, kind of to the extreme. When I was younger, I really ran away from it and pushed it away. Try to just fit into the mold or just fit in with everybody else, and ignored a lot of things I maybe should have possibly stuck with and followed for myself.
So when did you really recognize that you are different than everyone else? What was the earliest age of your memory that was something different about you?
Probably kindergarten, when I first started going to school. I would talk about things and get weird looks from people, and so I really wanted a connection with everyone. I wanted to be able to relate, to have something to talk about, to have friends, to be fit in a group, I guess. And I did whatever I could to fit in. Even if, my higher selves or my gut instincts, my intuition were telling me otherwise, I was just wanting to fit in so badly and just connect with people on a level which I didn't feel like I could without fitting the group, without doing things the group wanted me to do.
So, what was your biggest challenge communicating with the normal crowd? What kind of topics how did you see the world, the best way to put it, that was different than from others?
People worry about a lot of things. I never really worried so much about stuff until I was taught to worry about things, or taught to make things a big deal. Specifically, the way I would feel towards other people. I was very giving always. I was always giving anything I could to anybody, just because it didn't matter to me to have. Having things for myself is nice, of course, but it's just if someone else wanted something, I would just share it, give it to them. I felt like I am that person too. I want to take care of everybody, as well as the planet too. People would litter, throw things out of the car window. I just never really did those things until I thought, well, I want to be like everybody else, so I probably should just do what they do to fit in, so I'm not so much of an outcast, so I don't feel like I'm left out of this group.
So you could not relate to anyone in your social environment. How did your parents relate to you, or could they relate to you?
I don't think they didn't really have an idea about indigo children or children that are different than everyone else. It was more like they taught me what they thought was best, and they did all that they could, definitely, and they just wanted the best for me for what they thought. I should be doing, what I should be learning, um, and those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. And so when we're thinking about fitting in, and I understand that you've been to fit in, you kind of gave in to the peer pressure of using drugs. And what pushed you to do that? What was the catalyst for you to try something that was out of the normal?
I was interested in feeling differently, or feeling. I was interested in, you know, I understood how if I did something, it made me feel a certain way. I looked at it like, well, you know, I eat food, it can give me energy. So, what is this that people are doing that, you know, they say makes them feel good? I want to experience this feeling. And then going beyond that to um, the peer pressure of fitting in a group, I took it to the extreme. I mean, even after, I remember smoking the first couple times I did, my friends could just sit and keep smoking marijuana over and over and over and over, and it was just like, I am beyond altered right now. I don't know how you keep doing that repetitively, and it doesn't really, it's not affecting you like it's affecting me. So I wanted to figure that out. I wanted to understand how someone could, I wanted to fit in like that. I wanted to be able to, you know, keep doing those things like they did, because I thought, well, they can do that, I should be able to do that too. Not really thinking about what might necessarily be the best for me, for my best interest.
Mm-hmm. So what was your experience on drugs? Were you trying to escape the higher frequencies, or trying to connect to higher frequencies?
At first, it was just sort of, well, I'm curious, I wonder what this is, and then I started feeling things, feeling wonderfully, feeling like I just had this connection to a way to manage my thoughts, manage situations. Um, I found out now that my frequencies were raising during those periods of times, because I would be in a lower frequency, worrying about things, blowing up details of maybe negative parts of situations, which ended up making the negative feelings rise in me. And with the first drug I really started using was marijuana, and it toned that down to where I could sort of control my thoughts on stuff. It would it opened up this other layers to where I could feel thoughts coming in, analyze them before I really stuck to things, make changes accordingly, so I could just sort of have a better life and feel better and live better and more at ease.
Mm-hmm. So then, what other drugs did you use after that? I'm pretty sure after marijuana, you wanted to expand that ecstasy or that good feeling.
Oh, yes.
What was the next choice of drugs?
I went to alcohol from there, mainly, and then psychedelic mushrooms was another one after that. And then once I did that, I was pretty much just curious about anything that I did use some internal guidance always. There were things I was definitely not interested in doing because of all the negative things I had heard about them, and I still haven't done several of those things till this day. But I think the next step after mushrooms was ecstasy and LSD. I was doing a lot of those. That started probably around the mushrooms, maybe 2004, like a year before I got out of high school, or maybe the year I graduated high school. And then the ecstasy was 2006, and then the way that made me feel was just completely awesome and connected, and I could just talk to people and have these amazing conversations and feel really great about them and just feel all sorts of happy all the time. And prior to that, actually, I was on medication for a lot of things, for ADD, and they said I was bipolar because my mood switched so fast all the time, which was because I was so empathetic. I could just feel things so deeply that I would just take on that whole vibration of the thought or the feeling of something and just pretty much let it become me. So, you know, my mom wanted to help me in that regard, and we went to see a doctor, and I got put on, you know, those other things. So I discovered, well, man, this medicine is crap. This doesn't do anything for me like these other drugs do. I'm just going to use these as my medicine. And I started pretty much self-medicating with anything that made me feel better or more connected to how I wanted to feel or how I thought I should be able to feel. And it progressed into where I was telling myself that I needed these things, and I needing these things to feel connected, to feel better, like, you know, medication. Well, I have this, I was always told I had a chemical imbalance in my body, and being told that by a doctor really stuck with me really hard. I always felt like, okay, well, I have this imbalance, so I need to take these things to balance my chemicals anyway, and that's why I was seeking in doing those things. I started getting into disassociative drugs, ones that I would take some, just close my eyes, relax, and my spirit would just very easily release from my body, and I could just have these crazy, amazing experiences just floating around in a dreamlike state. Those two drugs that I mainly abused a lot of were ketamine and methoxetamine, which ketamine is a dissociative. Methoxetamine was sort of like taking ketamine and ecstasy at the same time, where you felt extremely blissful and happy, but also that disassociation where you weren't so glued into your body, where you were just focused on the 3D aspects of things, where your mind could transcend out of the body and just stay in a higher dimension realm.
So I'm getting the picture that using drugs gave you the sense of connection and oneness, connected to the source. It kind of blew out your filter of separation. So when was the turning point that you recognized that maybe this is not the conduit to use to become one with source?
My biggest turning point that I had was early 2011. I had 2010, the beginning of 2010 was pretty much when I started to really spiral out of control and spiral downward. My daughter was born in August of 2009, and I lived with her and my son and her mother. We had an apartment, and we lived together, and things were really good. And I started doing these things more and more because I wanted these connections, and I wanted to keep expanding my mind and finding what else is out there, what else is out there, what else can make me feel something, what else can I feel. And I started putting those things before my parental responsibilities, before my responsibilities with my bills, with the rest of my family. And shortly after my daughter was born, around January 2010, I just kind of said, okay, I'm gonna make this change. I'm just gonna change and just follow this path and just do these drugs and open my mind up, because I had friends that were doing this stuff all the time, and you know, I looked at it like it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't thinking about anything besides connecting to those feelings more and expanding my mind upon those feelings. And I did that for about a year, and my family fell apart. My children's mother and I, our relationship just crumbled into pieces. Some really nasty things happened in that period of time. And in March of 2011, I went to Chicago with a friend. I was driving a car that another friend of mine had just given to me on a gentleman's handshake, because he just wanted to help me, and I didn't have a license. I wasn't supposed to drive it until I did get my license back and get it insured and take all those responsible parts, get that taken care of, and I did it anyway, and ended up, I was going to see a concert in Chicago, and I saw another couple of friends there, and they gave me this bag of ketamine, and I was going to go in the bathroom and do some, and I did, and the bathroom stall doors and the bar in Chicago are really short, so you can kind of see the top of your head and up when you're in the bathroom, and I had my head decked down and was doing some of this drug, and turned around, and there's a guy staring at me over the stall door. It was security, and he's telling me, give me that. And so I tried to run from him and ended up getting thrown out, and my glasses got knocked off my face. I was wearing glasses at the time. I lost a shoe. And you know, I was in this place where, well, a very cocky place of, I should be able to do whatever I want. You know, I can do whatever I want to do, and was knocking on the side door at this club, trying to get back in the door, and ended up breaking the window because I hit the door so hard because I was on alcohol, ecstasy, and ketamine, and I had no physical control of my muscles really, or not to the point where I knew how hard I was hitting something, and I broke the window, and I still actually have a scar from it on one of my hands right here from hitting that window, and they came outside and tackled me to the ground. I got thrown in an ambulance, and I had a pocket full of drugs still in the ambulance. I put them all in my mouth, ate all of them, so I wouldn't get arrested for more drugs, because I was already arrested for breaking the window, and pretty much got to the hospital and was trying to talk my way out of being in trouble, and they injected me with some kind of thing to knock me out, and I woke up in a jail cell in Chicago with no way to contact anybody. I had to wait until I got to the bigger part of the jail to even make any phone calls at all. Found out that I was going to be staying there for at least 3 weeks until my next court date, which I had been to jail before for small things, but nothing that long. And that really scared me really bad. And being you know, locked in a cage away from the people that you love definitely can shift your mind about things. And yes. I wasn't really into, I had always been spiritual. I grew up in a Catholic church, but I knew there was something wrong with the way their model and the way they were doing things there. I didn't agree with the, you're a sinner, you're bad, you know, you've always sinned, you've always been bad, you need to repent and do all this. And so there was a man in the jail, and he's like, you know, read this, and he handed me a Bible, and I started reading, and it was just like this light, wow, what does this feel? This is amazing. And I started feeling a connection to the source, to God again at that point. Mm-hmm. So that was my major turnaround. After I got out of jail that time, I really stuck a lot harder to taking care of myself and not just diving into these things so much. And then a couple years later, when I had found this methoxetamine drug, actually it was about a year and 6 months later, 18 months later, I was still taking drugs after I got out of jail, because I was still interested in feeling these other connections, and I didn't see anything wrong with it at all.
So what I'm understanding is that drugs gave you that gate to feel this bliss, to feel this connection. So you really thought that there's no other way to connect source.
Or at least to expand on that connection, yeah, because I could read the Bible and feel things. You know, I could read spiritual teachings and feel things, but I always thought the way to open the doors were to use these keys, and the keys were drugs. So I figured, okay, well, the more keys to these doors that I have, then the more spiritual I could be. Mm-hmm. And that was my take on it. And then I started using that methoxetamine drug extremely extensively, because you could just order it on the internet and have it sent to your house. So I did, and used it every day for at least 6 months, every single day, maybe twice, 2-3 days I didn't use it. I was saying, this is my medicine, and one of my very younger friends, he was much younger than I was, and I remember saying that to him one time, and he was just like, dude, you don't need this. Why are you saying that? Mm-hmm. And that kind of started making me question what I was doing, hearing that come out of someone's mouth, because none of my friends had ever said that before. They were always just, oh yeah, gung-ho about it, you know, don't.
Yes.
This kid he's 5, 6, years younger than I am, maybe even 7 years younger than I am, and was hearing that from him. I was just like, whoa, you know. And I started questioning stuff. And then one night, this was another March. And March must be the month for these kind of things to happen for me, I guess. But in March 2012, I had someone gave me some LSD at a bar, and I figured, well, hey, I've taken this before, and I was like, well, I need to open these doors. I'm just going to blast this door wide open and get this connection. I'm going to figure this out. And I took like 8 hits of LSD, and I don't know how much methamphetamine I had done. I'd been doing it for 6 months every single day. It was just normal. So I was on all sorts of drugs and was blacking out pretty much. And all I remember at the beginning of that night is just blacking out, coming back, and blacking out and coming back, and just being so confused. And I remember one of my friends was there at the house with my brother and my mom and I, and was just, dude, are you all right, man? Can you get it together? Are you okay? And it was just, I didn't know what to say to him because I was just so out of it and couldn't believe, you know, what was even going on. I figured I had it all under control. And I ended up running outside. I was screaming at the sky, seeing very nasty entities saying things to me. Eventually, one of them actually disguised themselves as this really etheric form of light. So I was like, oh, you must be my guide. You must be my angel. What do I need to do? You know, come into me. And I pretty much told them to take me over and do what they wanted with me. So I became possessed for a few hours and was running around the house just screaming gibberish, not making any sense, scaring the living daylights out of my mother and my brother and my friends and the neighbors. And ended up, my mom just wanted me to go inside and go to bed. She just didn't want it to stop, wanted it to be over with, and she had no idea what else to do at the time. So she called the police, and the police showed up, and I came to on the deck with the police standing there talking to me like, what's going on? What's going on? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm sitting on my deck. What are you doing? And he's, well, we're standing on your deck. And I kept blacking out and coming back, and eventually I saw these policemen digging a hole in my backyard, which wasn't actually happening, but it was happening for me, and it was real as I was sitting here talking to you. It was that real to me. And they dug a hole, and they started dragging my mom into this hole, saying, and my mom was looking at me saying, look what your choices are doing, your choices. These are your choices. And I thought about that, and I sat there, and I was like, oh my God, I have made all these choices, and these are what my choices have done. My choices have structured these things. The way that I'm looking at things and these choices I'm making are structuring and creating my entire reality, creating everything around me. So I stood up and was not seeing my mom in a hole anymore, so I asked the police officer on my deck, where did my mom go? Oh, she's not here right now, is the response I got out of that. And well, I'm not going to believe that. I thought to myself, she's inside. I'm going inside to find her. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go get her. And he's like, no, don't do that. And I thought that he was going to put me in a hole, so I ran into my house after he told me not to, and went to slam the door behind me, and he stuck his arm in the door, and I closed the door on his arm, and he then whipped the door open, tackled me to the ground, and I had about 4 officers digging their knees in my back as hard as they could. And I mean, I was in the most excruciating pain of my life, and I just kept asking them, please stop, please stop, please stop hurting me, please stop hurting me. And I got hog-tied. They tied my feet together, cuffed my hands behind my back, and was carried out of the house. And once I got around the corner of the house, I don't know why the police did this, but they let go of my arms and just held me by the middle of the handcuffs. I was pretty much hanging by the string on my legs and by the handcuffs, and I still have the scar on my arm from the handcuff mark. And I just, this is so much pain. I can't do this anymore. I can't live. I'm done. And I let go of everything. And I think me releasing my spirit from my body, all the dead weight that created, the police, the AMTs dropped me. And I remember smacking my head into the ground because when I woke up in the hospital, there was dirt and cement, and like I had a scar on the side of my face from hitting the ground. But in that meantime, I was just seeing these rings of light, and I thought I was pretty much dead. I'm like, wow, I just died. That's great. That was a great way to leave my family. Wow. Geez, I'm just such a great person, and it made me feel awful. And then I just had this very strong, very deep voice come in and say, no, you're not done. This is not over. And that was my moment of satori, my extreme illumination, and I had a conversation with God for the next 5 or 6 hours laying in the hospital. Just he was telling me all the secrets to everything I wanted to ever know about life, how life worked, why we live, the point of me being on the planet, you know, how important it was to do things, to not, you know, not abuse your life, to be grateful for being able to live, and you know, that was my second chance. And ever since then I have just been completely gung-ho about connecting to spirit and being spiritual, and I realized, you know, using the drugs is not the best way to go about this. There's got to be another way. So that's when I started looking for other.
You know, it just brought tears to my eyes, you know, that sometime a great teacher told me that many times we question and judge our choices, what we make. But if you made it, maybe you had to make those choices. Maybe you have to experience the lowest point of life or existence for you to get sick of it, get enough of it, for you to really look at the other side and just say, this is not it. Even if you have tools or drugs or alcohol to open some of these doors, but many times, well, not many times, most of the time or all the times, whatever you use that could destroy the host, which is your temple, your body, it's not the way.
No.
It's not the way to open the doors. That's a quick fix, but many times quick fixes are the destruction that actually will shut the door to your face and many times eliminate your existence. It kills the vehicle, the body.
Yes.
So I think that was your turning point of complete humiliation. And when you completely gave up on destroying your body and maybe looking at and questioning, maybe there are other ways of doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with you. You know, that contrast we were talking about today,
Yes.
you know, going all the way into the darkness like that, you know, it really makes you see, wow, this is not the correct path, and sometimes, you know, that is the best way for specific people or certain people to have those experiences and learn from them. And to add to something else you said, you know, I honestly, truly believe wholeheartedly that there are natural substances that were put on this planet for a reason. The big problem with that is that we're not taught how to use them, and they have been suppressed out of our culture for so long. So the actual probably the safe ways of using these things have been removed, and there's only certain groups of people, you know, certain maybe native tribes or people that really understand how to use these substances to only benefit you. So, you know, we question, okay, well, this can help me, this has got to be able to help me, and we don't know a good ritual or a good process for using these things, so we just experiment.
Or I think self-control, the amount, because, you know, certain substances are used in a shamanic initiation.
Yes.
But it's not for everyday use. It's for you to experience what it's like, for you to see the other side. But the reason why we are here in this physical environment is to be physical and understand that, you know, the six senses are there, but there is a world beyond it. But to maintain that balance, it cannot come from drugs. You know, in a shamanic initiation, they only allow you to use it in very specific times.
Yes.
And it's for you to get a taste of it, to see that you are bigger than what you see. You're not just your body, you're just your thoughts. You are a spiritual entity. And but it's not there to use it on everyday basis because it could destroy your body.
Right. And to add to that, using it on an everyday basis, you go and have an experience, even with marijuana. You smoke
Yes.
it the first time, you could have a great, great, amazing experience. But if you continue to do it every single day, the insight, the things you learned out of that one experience, you don't have time to assimilate that information. You don't have time to really look at it and really benefit from it because you're just doing it again and doing it again and doing it again, and then it's just clouding and glossing over all the other experiences and all the other information that you've learned, and you can never process it all. And I just quit smoking maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I'm still sort of feeling like I'm coming out of a cloud and really being able to process everything that I've learned. It's much, much easier now because it's processing in a normal way. And I always thought, well, weed, everybody smokes weed. Well, I should be able to smoke this all the time, every single day, and it shouldn't really have any adverse effects on me at all. But where I'm trying to go, that might be true for some people, but what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? Are you trying to make a progress on your life, or is it actually benefiting you to keep doing this every single day to further yourself somewhere? Or is do people even look at those things? I was looking at those things, and that's why I decided every other time I had quit smoking, it was for someone else or something else. It wasn't for me. I didn't quit from. And this time it's like, well, you know what? I'm going to stop because I want to understand what life is like without this. I smoked every single day for 9, 10 years straight, with only the exception of going to jail and being on probation that I didn't smoke weed. Every single day, multiple times a day, all day long.
So what's interesting, what I hear is that when you start questioning, is this the right way? Contemplating on other possibilities, the possibilities show up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So contemplation and choices. Many times you think that you need to have something. The minute you hear the word need, you're not in control.
Yes, you are right.
And that is so huge to understand, that you might think it's a habit. Well, let me define habit and choices. Habit is something that you are not aware of. Now, when a certain behavior becomes into your attention, it creates awareness. From then on, it's a choice. And when you recognize that your free will is given to you to make those choices, your reaction to those habits are actually gives you the power to choose. You're reacting to that habit, and that gives our power back. Whenever you say, I need it, you just threw your free will into the garbage.
Yes.
And you're not in the driver's seat. You are in the passenger seat somewhere in someone else's car.
Right.
Someone else's idea how to live life. And go on.
I have even found, as mind-blowing as this would probably be for most people, I've even found that it's true with food.
Oh, I think it's true to everything. I think it's true to even to our thoughts, to sugar, to alcohol, to people, to falling in love. Anything that
out of emotion. We do it out of a lack of a certain emotion, or feeling like we can't feel a certain way without doing something else first.
Yes, and that is disempowerment to the I think to the point that anytime when you feel like you need someone or something, you gave your power away.
Yes.
And you have to very quickly create that awareness that I am leaking this power out of myself, and how do I regain it? How do I reground myself in this process? And that is taking taking responsibility for it. That it's my choice to react, it's my choice to take it, it's my choice to smoke, it's my choice to take the drugs, it's my choice to eat that food, to be nasty to someone, or to be happy, or to be grateful. It's always a choice. Now, when I choose, I am in complete power.
Exactly.
And no one can do it for me. Not my peers can push me toward drugs, or cigarettes. Unfortunately, or unfortunately, I don't know. I had a father who was an alcoholic, and I seen addiction destroying lives, and it was very stressful growing up. But this is the gift what he gave me with this. First of all, I learned how to be compassionate to those that really self-destruct, because it really comes from a place of not being connected to source. You feel sad, you feel incomplete, and you're trying to fill in this hole. But at the same time, it gave me the second gift. What I got out of it is that the ability to say no to these substances. And growing up, all my friends were smoking, so I had to try it out because I wanted to fit in. And the interesting point was that I smoked for 2 weeks, and oh my gosh, it was stinky, it tasted awful, and it made me nauseous and dizzy, and I said, no thank you. You guys smoke, I watch. And to my surprise, I thought that my peer group gonna push me out. But when you step into your shoes, when you take your power back and say no, actually you gain power in their eyes as well. It's huge. So when, to all the youngsters who out there who might watch this show, just want to say that don't be afraid to say no. It's not disempowering whatsoever. No is a fantastic answer.
It is.
And, relating to your peer group, why do you think youngsters choose drugs nowadays?
It's an extremely accepted pastime, so to say. It's just, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like, people have to have something to do, and, altering... Let me go back a minute. No one's really taught about connecting to spirit, and it's looked at more of like a religious thing, or, oh, you believe in God, you believe in this man in the sky that makes all these choices and does all these things, and he's in control of you, or whatever. And a lot of that pushes people away from spiritual things, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think idea of God is so separate in religion from man that
Yeah.
I think that's where the problem lies, that people don't understand that God really lives within them. So they don't have to go to a church, they don't have to belong to any group of people for them
Right.
to get that connection.
Right. And the kids are just, a lot of the youth is trying to regain that connection, trying to just feel good with each other and feel good connected together, and it's just become a very widely accepted thing to do now. When I was in high school, it probably was, but I wasn't. My group of friends was not in high school was not very into doing stuff like that all the time, especially psychedelics. I mean, weed was one thing, smoking cigarettes was whatever, but not really blowing your mind open like that all the time. And now it's very different. I can see, my brother's group of friends, or just the kids his age, not his group of friends, but kids more his age are, more open to this thing and more open to doing it all the time because of looking at the older people, people that are older than them. Oh, what were they doing? Oh, they're doing this. So it sort of trickles down into that next generation, and it's like even bigger and even bigger, and then the next generation even more widespread because of all them taking example from the people older than them, and that is one of the things that that God told me, you know, in that conversation when I was laying in the hospital bed, is that you are setting an example. You have to set a good example. People are watching you. People are learning from you. You know, and it's like, wow, that's so true. What am I teaching people? I want to teach people, you know, what's really going on, and to not destroy themselves. And you know, that was a big eye opener for sure.
So going back to the conversation with God when you were in the hospital, the two things what I get out of it is that he told you that your actions or your choices affect everyone, and you have to set an example.
Yes.
So by those two statements, that our choices affect everyone around us, it goes back to oneness. It goes back that we all connected. We're not separate from anyone or anything. And it's like a chain reaction. It's a holographic effect. Whenever we do something, it will trickle down. It will change reality in the long run.
Yes.
So what did you get out of it when you heard that statement?
That was kind of a moment to reflect on all the things that I had done, negative and positive, because I know there was some very good things I had done, you know, up until that point that were very positive and impacted people in very positive ways. I also reflected on the negative and how that was affecting my family and friends and other people around me. So it just made me really look at that contrast and say, well, what would I rather do? And again, there's a choice. It's like, well, would you want to continue down this road and keep showing this to people? Because if you do, these people are probably going to end up like you too. And I don't want that. I want people to be connected, to be happy, to live healthy lives, take care of their temples, you know, bring the spirit through the temple and not seek it outside, not seek this other piece. It was already there. I mean, the communication was like, it was in every cell of my body. Like when God was speaking to me, I felt it through every single cell of my body, and it did not come from any of those drugs I had taken that day. I can tell you that. I had never felt that before in my life. It was extremely eye-opening.
So going back to addictions and how our society deals with addictions, when you attend like drug rehabilitation and alcohol anonymous, or there are groups out there, I think what I see that is hard to really go beyond their teaching, or the false. I don't really want to use the word, you know, that they're totally wrong, because I think they have a 12-step program, and I think they forgot the 13th one, which is you have the power to change it. Because they label you that once you're an addict, you're always gonna be an addict. Boom, right there, they took your right away.
I have very personal experience. I have personal experience with that. I had to attend an outpatient rehab center for probation. After that event happened, they made me go to an outpatient thing because I was on probation when I went that night when that happened. So the first thing that they tell you in outpatient rehab is, or maybe probably all rehabs and all that, is that you are completely powerless to those things.
Yes.
That's the reason why I never passed the outpatient class, is because I would never agree with that. Because I told them, well, that doesn't make sense, because I was powerful enough to choose what I did to make this happen. I'm the one that's in control. And they kept saying, no, it just happens to you. It's just life. That's how it goes for some people. It just happens, and you're not in control of any of those things. And I would never believe that, because that was my example, was that I had been, my experience, that I had been through that, and that I knew that I was in control. I knew that I was the one making those things happen, and I knew I was the one that could make those changes.
Exactly.
So talk out in class, you know, and give my example, and it was just hush, nope, sorry, you can't talk like that. We don't want you to talk like that in here. You can't talk like that in here. Really?
Yes. Yes, we label addictions. I like modern medicine, how we label, for example, addictions as inherited. Again, it takes your choice away. Oh
Yes.
yes, because my father was an alcoholic. Well, then I am the living proof of that theory to be wrong because I'm not an alcoholic. So how come I did not inherit that genes, what my father had? Because I have a choice. By
Yes.
contrast, I can define seeing what alcohol does to you or any substance can destroy your life. That was enough for me to never choose that route. And it's I did not, nor my brother inherited that gene. None of us are alcoholics. So how do you explain this modern medicine excuse for those who say that, oh yes, it's inherited? Again, we're taking away power from people by teaching them that they don't have a choice. It's not up to them. It's in your genes. It's in your DNA. You know, and again, no, it's not. It's a choice. It's a responsibility.
Yes.
And taking responsibility for those choices and actions. And again, it's not, I'm not talking about faulting anyone here, you know, because many times when we talk about responsibility, we kind of, oh, it's my fault. It's not a fault. It's simple cause and effect. You make a choice, there are gonna be some consequences for that. That's it. This is not about, you know, right or wrong. It's just simple law, you know, laws of physics, cause and effect.
Right.
And just recognizing, creating that awareness. Okay, if I done that choice, this is the effect on that or the consequence. If I make another choice, which is might be the opposite, the one that I made, it's going to create another effect. So it's just creating the awareness that every moment holds that power that we can make a different choice. And these choices are simply reference points, nothing else. Reference. Don't judge yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person because I use drugs. No. I made that choice. I had that experience. I withdraw the wisdom of that experience by learning that I don't want to do that.
Yes.
You know, that is the wisdom in that moment.
Your past doesn't define your future. It just tells you where you got to start sometimes.
Yes. And are you still here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, the picture froze. But that's all what it's for. And every moment offers that choice. Every moment offers that opportunity to choose something else.
Absolutely.
So when you started to look for other methods of getting off of the drugs, what came into your reality that gave you a better option to connect to source or to maintain that bliss, what you were seeking on drugs?
The first thing, because I had already been into this for a while, but the first really connection that I made was connecting with things in nature, like things like gemstones and the vibrations within stones and within people and within things. And I was very interested in healing. I always have been interested in healing. So
of course, your Indigo Children are healers.
I was into dieting and changing the way I ate to make me feel different, feel better. I had done all sorts of crazy diet experimentation. I mean, I have done pretty much any kind of diet you can name and observed what it does to me and how it made me feel. But I started getting into, I learned about Reiki energy and Reiki healing, one form of energy healing, energy medicine. And I found a store, it's called Pandora's Box in the town I live called Pekin, Illinois. And I went in there and she was offering to tune your chakras with tuning forks for free. And I went in there and I got that done. I thought that was awesome. I got a really good effect out of that. And I met a man, his name's Isaac Asher, and I met him there and signed up for, he does Reiki, and I signed up for a session with him. It was a half-hour session, and I went in to that session and laid down on that massage table, and when he started moving energy through me, it was the most amazing thing I had ever felt. It was very similar to almost taking drugs or doing some kind of drug, but it had this purity to it, this
Yes.
this
Key point.
organic,
Purity.
this spiritual, blissful, awesome, this purity and running through my whole body. And I got up off that table, and I don't remember ever feeling better in my whole life up until that moment. And I thanked him, and every day got better. Every single day of my life, I went to sleep that night, woke up the next day, and just felt absolutely incredible. And it just continued getting better and better and better and better. So I'm like, wow, I want to learn how to do this. I need to learn how to do this because I want to share this with other people. If somebody can do this to me, I need to be able to understand the mechanics behind this, how this works. What is this? What is actually going on? And so I met with him again, and he taught me. We did what's called Moonlight Key training, and it's the 9 rights of the Inca people, and those are energetic transfers that they're gifts that are passed along down through people. And I went through those and learned about how energy works and how how it moves through your body, and to go along with the Reiki that I was doing. And with Reiki, it teaches you are connecting to the source to a level beyond the physical, and you are taking it down through your chakras. It's coming through your heart and out your hands, and that is how you're able to move it through other people and as well as yourself.
Yes.
So I learned that, and I got very infatuated with that, and met a really awesome group of people that guided me and really helped me heal myself from all the damage that I had been through with the drugs and my life and emotions and just all sorts of things. And they are my best friends to this day. They are the most amazing group of people that I know. I am so grateful to them for everything that I've learned from them, and I'm still learning, and we're all still exchanging. It's just great. It's great to have, to have friends that, off topic here, they're just awesome. And then I've been through so much, and with seeking with the drugs, I was always trying to find more and find more and find more, and I'm like, wow, I found all this cool energy stuff. There's got to be more to this. There's got to be something else, something greater, something bigger. So I was seeking for something else, and I found what's called chelantic science, which was brought to Earth by a woman named Ashiana Dean. She has spent 15 plus years bringing the most microscopic details of energy mechanics to Earth, and the way she teaches it and everything that goes along with it resonates with me the most out of any other teaching or any other kind of mechanics to energy that I've ever learned. So I was very into that, and I had trouble finding people that I could relate to. And so with anything, you learn something and you want to talk about it with people, so you can run your ideas back and forth and get even better understandings, because like we talked about the other day, we're all pieces to this big puzzle, and everybody's perspective of it, listening to them, if you don't judge them, you can really learn something and just put these pieces together more. So I couldn't really find anybody until I found Dr. Barnett's website, and it's cosmicdolphinmagic.ning.com, and she was talking about frequencies, and her background was in chelantic science, and it really rang with me. It just had this really big resonance that I could really easily understand. So, and it was kind of like the teachings that Ashiana did, but not so many details, more it was presented in a different way, so it was easier for me to get what they were talking about. So Dr. Barnett offers music on her website, and with her music, what she's doing is she is connecting all the way up through all the spheres, and to the point now of going completely beyond the structure of the the time matrix that our dimensional, the dimensionality that we live in, going as far beyond it as she can with her connection, and breathing just like you do with, you know, with Reiki. It's all about your breath. When you breathe that out, that is when the energy is moving through you. So she is recording her breaths with her music, and layering it with other things, and so I listened to this, and it was like laying down for that first session of Reiki with my friend Isaac, but like, and it was only a half hour of listening to her music. It was like I had 10 Isaacs working on me all at once, and I was laying there for 8+ hours after listening to her music for 30 minutes. That's what I felt like. I literally got up the first time I listened to it. I was laying in my backyard in a little tent that I made in the grass, and I sat up, and I was like, just, oh, I feel so good right now. Almost like I was on a bunch of drugs. Like, I was just like, wow. So then I started thinking to myself, these drugs. Okay, I'm putting these things vibrate. Everything vibrates. It's like I learned with stones. You know, they all have a vibration. These drugs are vibrating. I'm putting this vibration in my body. Oh, I'm breathing these vibrations that she's breathing. I'm inhaling them into my body. Wow, we're all frequency. Wow, there's something to this, you know. This is like drugs, but it's not. I don't have to put something in my body. I can just tune in to what she's recording. I can tune into those recordings and get the frequency right out of it, just like I'm her. She's just opening that, just like what Jesus Christ did when he came to Earth. His morphogenetic field, his consciousness, what he brought here. You know, people tune into it all the time. I'm tuned into it all the time, and it's just great. It's just this awesome frequency that you tune into that lives inside of you, and you know, it makes you feel absolutely incredible.
Yes, that's amazing, because what you said, that the drugs are in a certain frequency, but it destroys the body. It destroys the mind, and eventually it blows out your filters, and you cannot really maintain the information what you supposed to get on a blissful journey when you go on drugs. You cannot really maintain that information. You cannot really hold it or really use it. Right. Now, when you tune into a different frequency through music, what Dr. Barnett is doing and created, in that case, you can tune into it and maintain that information, what you are getting from these frequencies.
Right, because it's just like with a piece of food. You know, I eat a banana. A banana has sugar in it. Looking at it in a 3D aspect, there's this sugar that's going to stimulate my body and make me feel excited and feel really good for a moment.
Yes.
But I need that banana, put it in my mouth to get that feeling. Or I could look at it like, oh, this banana has a frequency. I could put it on my lap and feel the frequency of the banana and inhale it and breathe it and attune to that frequency, just like you do with the stone, because you don't eat crystals. So maybe some people do, I don't know, but I don't eat crystals.
Underestimate
water. Make the water with them, the elixir, you know, you can stick it in water, and then the vibration of the stone gets into the water, and they can put it in their body that way. But you don't have to put it in your body. You can breathe it. You can just feel it, and then by feeling it, it lasts longer, because you don't have that process of, oh, I did this, oh, that's going to only last a certain while, and it goes away, like we think about with eating food or other things similar, drugs, putting drugs in your body. Oh, I do this, that's going to wear off after a while, I'm going to have to do that again. It's going to wear off after a while, I'm going to have to do that again. If you look at it like it's a frequency, it's always available all the time for infinity. So it's always there, and you can always just tap into it no matter where you are.
Mm-hmm. And I think that is the biggest perception changer, I guess, that with the awakening process, we recognize that this frequency, this infinite source, is always available to all of us. It's not something that only privileged ones can use it.
Yes.
I talked to a person who had some issues with God. He was extremely angry and somewhat said that he doesn't believe that God exists. And then I had to explain to him where God lives. And so when you talk to someone who has an idea or the perception that there is no more than what you see, I try to explain to them that you don't have to go really far. You just have to go smaller within. And that is, you know, you have the body's covered with the skin. Under the skin we have the muscles. Under the muscles we have the organs. In the organs we have the tissue. In the tissue it breaks down to cells. The cells breaks down to atoms. And the atom breaks down to electrons and a nucleus. Boom. In the field of the electrons, in that space, which is 99.999%, and the nucleus is only 0.00001%. So really, when you look at the molecule structure of everything in the universe, it's more space than matter. And where does this divine source lives? In this space. So if anyone is looking for God, don't go really far. You know, it's in your molecule structure. You share that space with it,
yes.
with this infinite source of energy. And what's beautiful about it, when I told him this, he stood back and looked at me very quietly, you know, just looking at me. So when I said, anytime when you pissed at God, you know, you mad at yourself. You don't have to go. So all that anger goes actually against you.
Yes.
Please understand that is the mirror effect of this universe. We share this field.
Yes.
So understand, when you desire something, it's not out of you. It's in you already. If you can give birth to an idea, just contemplating on new possibilities, like you contemplate on new possibilities, music came into your life. When you contemplate beyond that, the possibilities are infinite because of that. And that is the beauty of this source. And our higher mind, which is the conduit to higher mind, is the imagination. When you can use your imagination, when you can give birth to a new idea, guess what? When you align it with this higher power and understand to manifest this, comes from this infinite source. There is no competition to that.
Right.
It's only depends on your imagination and able to connect and feel one with the source and loving what you want. It will come to you. I mean, it's the most amazing experience when I think humankind will understand that. And I think part of the indigo frequency is that you guys are opening a new gate for that. And you might have to go through some rough patches to get there because you don't feel fit in. You know, we talked about this a couple of days ago that, you know, when we born in the 3D, the side effect of being born in the human body is that we get amnesia.
Yeah.
And you knowing that you are different, but you don't know where to put it. It's like, I don't know, I don't understand what different is because no one is like me. So it's really hard to fit in. And then you choose to do other stuff. Okay, honey. My child. And then you choose to do other things because you're trying to fit in. But here's the beauty of it. You always find a way home. Because somewhere that seed is planted in you that you need to look for new things. You need to find that path. And there's other ways of doing it. And with your experience, you know, I think the gift, I mean, let me ask you this first before I give an answer to that one. So going through using drugs and experiencing the lowest of the low and the highest of the high. Now, holding that experience, how could you use it as an example or teach it to youngsters or any age group that wants to understand what does it do and how can you get out of it, or you don't even have to go through it. I mean, that's what do you think the gift in this whole experience?
I mean, I believe we could talk specifically, I guess, with a couple examples that I've learned from. Learning by example, like, there were certain drugs I would never do. Like, I would never do heroin. I would never stick a needle in my arm. I was never interested in doing meth, you know, crystal meth. I never wanted to do those things because I observed by example through other people the destructiveness of what those things do. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would hope my example and people that watch me would just know by, wow, he was here and now look where he is. There's got to be something to that, especially if he's not doing the same things he was doing before. He must have figured something out. Mm-hmm. I mean, and as far as people wanting to learn, you know, you're always connected to all the answers you ever need to know. You know everything you need to know, and it's giving your power away to say, well, this book's got to tell me how to do this, or this website's the only way to tell me how to do this. Those can be tools to open you up to things, but that's not the definitive answer. The way I kind of look at the whole picture is, for an example, if God is a sun, like a big sun in the sky, we think about the rays sticking off the sun, it's like God expanded, and all of these little rays are, at the end of these rays of light of sun, pops out a body. And here we are. We're still connected to that ray, because without that ray, we can't be in this body. We're not, it doesn't work. They even say when people die, the body loses a certain percentage of mass, right? At death, it's gone.
Yeah. It's a very tiny, but it is. The body gets lighter, actually.
It is like that connection to the sun was cut off. Like you zip back up into the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So just knowing that you are connected. If you are here and you're moving around and you're talking, and if you can breathe in this body, you are connected.
And you have a purpose.
And you
don't forget that.
Purpose.
Yes. I think everyone who was born at any time, but mostly at this time, this is really an amazing time that we live in, because the awakening happens in a mass level, and even if you don't know what's happening, you know is something is different. Something is like pulling you. It's like this pulling energy that, you know, you're gonna get information. You're gonna run into some books, even strangers gonna tell you stuff that you're gonna raise your eyes like, really? Where is that came from? Or you're gonna, you know, some information will come to you that kind of starts the activating process for you to change your perspective on reality and how you perceive yourself. And anyone who suffers from not feeling good enough, always remember, if you're here today, if you're breathing, if you're existing, just the fact that you were born, you have a purpose. You are worthy of all that to all possibilities. And you know, I was listening to a Christian songs. I mean, to me, I don't really not do or read things. I see that everyone and everything is a teacher. And one of the songs that, and I don't belong to any religious groups, I truly believe that my connection to Source is very personal, and I don't need a label on it. But those who choose to do so, I respect it as well. They need to be where they need to be, and honor their way of seeking Source. Right. So I was listening to this Christian song, and and it's that the lyrics was saying is that I woke up today and I was really angry at God because I looked at the world and I saw all this hatred, I saw all this pain, and I asked God, do something. And God said, I already did. I created you. So in the power of paradox, when you don't like something, that's your chance to redefine that subject or that idea in you, recreate what you want to see.
Yes.
And then it will be projected. So when you recognize where God lives within, you change the image of something you don't like, then it will be projected to the outer experience, into reality, and causing a holographic effect of affecting everything around you.
Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Exactly. If you wish to see the change, you have to change yourself.
And to expand
you have to be the change.
To expand on that, you know, your purpose, being the change you wish to see in the world. What excites you the most? What gets you the most riled up, the most excited? Whether it's maybe the most frustrated or the most happy. If it gets you the most frustrated, well then that's a perfect example of your purpose. That frustrates you, be a change to that situation and radiate that out and be that example, be that change. And don't need validation from other people. Just know, well, I do it this way because this is how I think it should be done. And eventually somebody will notice, oh, wow, that's a really good way of doing that. I think I'm going to do it that way too, because that might not be something that they're so passionate about, but they can learn by that example from you. And to go a bit further, there is absolutely no correct way for you to do that. It's whatever way you feel is best for you. There's nothing outside of you that's going to tell you how to do that. It's going to be whatever you feel through that connection to the divine, how you want to make that change.
Very lonely and sad.
Well, we're going to be closing the show, and you're absolutely right. What I would like to add to it is that that in every experiencing that joy, what you talked about, and excitement, you have to understand the power of now. That we have to use every energy in the moment, what is given to us, and really seeking that excitement. And even if it's, you know, it's because that excitement in the moment, what you seek, will lead you to the big picture. But you have to validate even the smallest excitements, what you can find in that moment. Because if you're not, you cannot, you know, that is your path to the road, what you're seeking in a larger scale. So anyhow, thank you very much for joining the show, Stefan. It was a truly amazing experience to listen to your story. And you know, I would like to go back just one more thing about Dr. Barnett music. Do you think that using this music in the background for facilities like drug and alcohol rehabilitations, do you think if it helped you, it can help other people?
Yes, I infinitely believe that would be a very great thing. I mean, even if a rehab center or even a jail, especially a jail, like where people are, in trouble for doing something well the society thinks they shouldn't have done. Even having a room where they could lay down for half an hour a day and put a pair of headphones on and just relax and listen to these frequencies, we would see a explosion of change, because what it's doing is the frequencies are reattuning you to the divine connection that she's holding. She's maintaining that connection.
Yeah.
So she's breathing those frequencies out, which are, you're breathing them in, which are attuning you back to that, a wider, the broadband, or the bandwidth is expanding and expanding, and you're able to do it on your own. Then you can just do it on your own, and you're healing yourself. It's going to change the way you think about stuff. It's going to, make you think in a more positive and more divine, holistic way. And I completely believe that would be amazing if people would start. They are kind of doing that with maybe Reiki energy in hospitals and like the crystal healing bowls in certain places, and that. But going beyond that to conscious, a conscious form of it, where you are breathing a living form of these frequencies from a living source.
Yes.
Which God, that would be an amazing change. I would love to see that.
And what just to clarify for the viewers, you always connect to the source. But someone who achieves this existence and able to maintain this frequency, like for example, if you would be in the presence of Jesus Christ, you would feel very different, because by someone who is really grounded and enlightened at the same time, when you are in their presence, you actually tap into their frequency.
Yep.
You become it in their presence, and that's how this music helps people, because she's already achieved that state. So by listening to it, people, criminals and those who really live in a fear mode, because really when you're trying to take away or hurt someone, you're not doing this because you recognize that you are unconditional love. It comes from that place of total annihilation or isolation from source.
Yes.
That's why you want to hurt someone, because you feel that you don't have another choice, or you take away something from them because you feel that there is not enough. It really comes from ignorance, and there's no, I'm not judging their ignorance, but that's, or I'm not justifying their criminal act, but I just want the viewers to understand that those who hurt other people or take stuff away, it does come from a place of ignorance, in the sense that they don't understand of who they are, and they don't understand their origin or their power.
Yeah. Ignorance
and
just
yes.
It just means that you're missing information. That's all ignorance is. It's just that you don't have information, and everyone is only acting at any given moment with the information they have, because that's all they can do. They only have a certain set of information, so people will speak and think and act based on that stored information, because they have nothing else.
Yes, and we talked about the level of consciousness. I can guarantee that being someone, like a criminal mind, I would say it's a very, very small level of consciousness, very low, or I would say a golf ball size consciousness. Now, instead of judging them and putting them like you are an awful, awful person that you've done this, how about if we awaken their origin? How about if we shift their perception of who they are? You see, after that happens, I can guarantee you that they're not going to want to hurt, because they recognize that if they hurt someone else, they hurt themselves.
Exactly.
They don't need to take away, because they can manifest whatever they want.
Exactly.
So we should reprogram, people with this frequency, and help them to understand that they are nothing but infinite source and unconditional love.
Yes.
That is your origin. Everything else is an adopted, bought, or sold, or illusion of belief that you took upon, then you think that that's what you are. That's not what you are. That's just the mask what you take upon on the journey, and you believe that you don't have any other option. And maybe someday in our prisons and rehabilitation systems, we're going to use a different method of not just saying that if you are an addict, you're always going to be an addict. If you're a criminal, you're always going to be a criminal. It's about, let's change their perception and awaken them of who they are, and then let them choose after that.
Right. They made a choice to get there, and now you're going to give them an option to make a choice to really better themselves and really change themselves, so that way they might not have that happen to them again, because that's an unfortunate thing when people have to be locked away from the people that they love outside of those places. I've experienced it firsthand. It's not a pleasant thing at all.
And by going back to the past, that the past does not define us. Every time when you shed a belief, you shed an illusion, you're not the same person. So that's why we say the past does not define us. Because when you create an awareness that it's only an illusion, it's only an adopted thing that we like to carry around and haul around our belief system, when you shed that, when you change only one belief about yourself, you chemically change your whole body. You become a different person. So never think that you're always the same. As your cells change, as you change your beliefs, everything changes around you.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Stefan. It was absolutely fantastic to have you on the show and share your wisdom and experience, and hope anyone who is suffering from drug addictions or alcohol or any addictions always recognize that you do have a choice, and simply ask, what are my other options are? Be open to different options. Do not judge yourself of what you have done. Just simply remember that your choices are simply based on moments. You can always have another choice. You can always have a different outcome. And if you recognize that, you can even quit cold turkey, as Stefan did, and start from a different place.
Yep.
So anyhow, thank you very much. It was fabulous. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.